Listen closely, because this may be one of the simplest warnings you have heard in a long time, and still one of the easiest to ignore. What if the thing slowing down your peace is not far away? What if it is not some giant mystery, not some hidden curse in a distant place, but something sitting in the most ordinary corner of your life? Stay with me, because this is going to touch your daily routine in a very direct way. Tonight, before you sleep, you may never look at your room the same way again. Many people pray hard, fast often, speak words of faith, and still wake up heavy, tired, and restless. They keep asking why the answer feels delayed, why joy feels thin, why the house feels crowded even when no one is there. And the truth may be closer than they think. It may be right where they lay their head every night. This message is simple, but do not scroll past simple truth. Sometimes the small door causes the biggest leak. Sometimes the quiet habit causes the loudest damage. And in the next few minutes, you may recognize something you have allowed for years without ever thinking twice about it. So stay with me, because what looks normal may be the very thing stealing what was meant to settle on your life. The bedroom is not just a place where the body gets a few hours of sleep. It is a private space, a quiet space, a vulnerable space. It is where the noise of the day finally breaks apart. It is where your strength drops, your guard lowers, and your soul becomes more open than it has been all day. And that matters more than most people realize, because when the day ends and your head touches the pillow, you are not only resting muscles and bones, you are stepping into a deeper kind of surrender. You're entering a place where peace should settle, where clarity should breathe, where the weight of the day should lift. That is why this space matters so much. This is not about furniture. It is about atmosphere. It is about what kind of environment surrounds you when your eyes close and your spirit becomes still. Many people treat the bed like a storage spot, a drop zone, a place to throw whatever is in their hands. But if a place is meant for renewal, why fill it with leftovers from pressure, stress, noise, and outside struggle? Think about that. If a space is meant for rest, why let it carry the feeling of battle? If a place is meant for peace, why cover it with the residue of the world? You do not have to shout to invite confusion. Sometimes you only have to stop paying attention. And that is where many people lose far more than they know. There are people listening right now who cannot remember the last time they truly rested. Not just slept. Not just closed their eyes because their body gave up. I mean real rest. The kind that leaves you light in the morning. The kind that clears the mind and softens the heart. The kind that makes you feel like the night did more than pass. It restored something deep inside you. That kind of rest should not be rare. It should not feel impossible. It should not be a memory from years ago. Yet for many people, it has become distant, almost strange. They wake up more tired than when they lay down. Their dreams feel dark. Their room feels heavy. Their thoughts race. Their spirit feels crowded, and they do not know why. Here is the hard truth. Sometimes the problem is not only what you're fighting in the day. Sometimes it is what you're allowing in the night. Sometimes the issue is not only stress in your mind, but disorder in your private space. And when private spaces lose order, private peace often disappears with it. Let that sink in, because this is where many people miss it. They pray over public things. They speak over visible things, but they do not examine the quiet habits of home. They do not ask what their room is carrying. They do not ask what their bed has become surrounded by. And if you never inspect what receives you at night, you may never understand why your strength keeps leaking by morning. There is a reason quiet places matter. In silence, things rise to the surface. In stillness, what was hidden all day can finally be felt. That is why the night can be sacred, but it can also become a battlefield if you are careless. Every day you walk through places full of pressure, tension, fear, striving, noise, images, conversations, and unseen weight. You carry it longer than you think. Your body may come home, but your spirit still feels the traffic of everything you move through. And if all of that gets dropped carelessly into the very space meant for restoration, then the place of rest begins to feel like an extension of the battle. Suddenly, the bed is no longer protected. It is crowded. It is mixed. It is common. And what was meant to be peaceful starts feeling interrupted. Watch this carefully, because this part matters. Not everything that harms you comes in loud. Not everything destructive looks dramatic. Some things work slowly, quietly, patiently, through routine, through repetition, through the normal things you stopped noticing. That is why this message matters, because the most dangerous habits are often the ones that feel harmless. The enemy does not always break doors down. Sometimes he waits for you to leave them open through carelessness. Sometimes he does not need a storm. Sometimes all he needs is your lack of attention. And if that sounds small, remember this. Small things repeated long enough shape entire atmospheres. So what are these ordinary things people keep carrying onto the bed without a second thought? Shoes, clothes worn outside all day, wallets filled with the pressure of buying, paying, chasing, calculating, phones glowing with endless voices, endless images, endless noise. These things feel normal. That's the point. They feel so normal that no one pauses. Shoes walk through every kind of place and then get tossed onto the very surface where peace is supposed to settle. Clothes absorb the mood of the day, the sweat, the stress, the environment, and then get thrown across the pillow as if none of that matters. Wallets sit in the middle of anxiety, transaction, ambition, comparison, and survival mode, then get laid beside the place meant for trust and rest. And the phone, that constant doorway to chaos, drama, pressure, temptation, distraction, bad news, arguments, scrolling, envy, fear, and emotional overload, gets tucked right next to the body all night long. Think about how strange that is. People say they want quiet, then sleep inches away from a device that never stops speaking. They say they want peace, then place the whole world under their pillow. They say they want clear rest, then bring into bed the same objects that carried the burden of the day. Stay with me here, because this is where many people start realizing something. The issue is not only what you believe, it is also what you allow to stay close when the day is over. Now, some people will hear this and say it sounds too extreme, too serious, too spiritual. But ask yourself this honestly. Have the casual habits been helping you? Has the clutter on the bed been producing peace? Has sleeping beside noise been giving you deep rest? Has carrying the whole day into your bed been making your nights lighter? For many people, the answer is no. They have normalized what is draining them. They have made peace with what is crowding them. They have accepted a restless atmosphere as if it is just part of modern life. But not everything common is harmless. Not everything modern is healthy. Not everything familiar deserves access to your resting place. A lot of people are not weak because they lack faith. They are worn down because their inner life never gets a clean space to breathe. They are not empty because heaven forgot them. They are exhausted because they keep sleeping in environments that are mixed with tension, clutter, and emotional residue. And when that continues long enough, people stop expecting rest at all. They begin settling for survival. They call broken sleep normal. They call mental noise normal. They call heaviness normal. But normal is not always right. Common is not always safe. And if you are still listening, this may be the moment to ask yourself a hard question. What have I been placing near my rest that should never have been there in the first place? Ask it honestly, because the answer may explain more than you expected. The truth is, many problems grow in the dark simply because nobody stops to notice them. The enemy often works through silence, through habit, through things repeated until they feel invisible. He watches patterns. He studies comfort zones. He looks for the places people no longer guard. Not just the big public parts of life, but the quiet private corners, the places nobody sees, the moments nobody films, the habits nobody confesses because they do not even think they matter. That is why private spaces deserve attention. If you only guard what is visible, you leave the hidden parts of life exposed, and what stays exposed long enough often becomes a point of weakness. This is why order matters. This is why intention matters. This is why boundaries matter. A room can look normal and still feel heavy. A bed can look clean and still be carrying the wrong atmosphere because what touches it, surrounds it, and rests on it all speaks in its own way. If you pile stress where peace should live, peace struggles to breathe. If you pile noise where stillness should settle, stillness gets choked. If you let the ordinary be treated with no thought at all, then the sacred gets slowly buried under routine. And once that happens, people stop sensing what they have lost. They just know something feels off. Something feels blocked, something feels delayed, something feels dry, and they keep searching for a huge answer while a small habit keeps reopening the same door every single night. Maybe this is why some people have been praying for a shift while ignoring the ground where the shift is supposed to land. They want breakthrough, but their resting place is crowded. They want peace, but they keep bringing stress into the very center of their night. They want clarity, but they sleep beside confusion. They want spiritual sensitivity, but they end every day surrounded by objects that keep their mind tied to pressure and distraction. Listen carefully. What surrounds you in your most vulnerable hours matters. What you place near your head matters. What atmosphere you build before sleep matters. And no, this is not about fear. It is about wisdom. It is not about panic. It is about paying attention. It is about recognizing that your private life deserves as much care as your public one, maybe more, because that is where strength is refilled. That is where peace is either protected or drained. That is where tomorrow begins before the sun even rises. If your night is constantly interrupted, your day starts already diminished. If your rest is polluted, your focus suffers. Your patience thins. Your joy weakens. Your sensitivity dulls, and then you carry that weakness into the next day and wonder why everything feels harder than it should. If this is touching something in you, do not just agree with it. Act on it, because truth helps most when it becomes practice. So tonight, start simple. Look at the bed differently, not as a place to dump the day, but as a place set apart from the day. Remove what does not belong there. Take the shoes off the bed. Move the clothes that carry the outside world. Stop letting the wallet sit where peace is meant to rule. Put the phone away from the pillow, away from your hands, away from your breathing space. Give your room a chance to become quiet again. Clear the surface, clear the air, clear the habit. And while you do it, do not rush. Let the act mean something. Let it become a line drawn in the spirit and in the mind. Let it say, this place will no longer carry what does not belong to rest. This place will no longer host the pressure of the day. This place will no longer be treated carelessly. You would be shocked how powerful one small act of order can be when repeated with intention. Sometimes peace returns through a door that simple. Sometimes clarity begins with a cleared surface. Sometimes the first change is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is small. It is private. But private changes often release public results. And if you have been waiting for a sign, maybe this is it. Not a loud sign, a clear one, a practical one, a tonight kind of sign. Because healing habits are built in ordinary moments. And transformation often begins with the things people used to overlook. But do not stop at removing objects. Change the atmosphere as well. Slow the room down before sleep. Let the last moments of the night breathe. Turn off what keeps your mind spinning. Stop feeding your soul noise right before rest. Give yourself a few minutes of stillness. Speak peace over the room. Speak calm over your mind. Release the day on purpose instead of carrying it into sleep by default. Say what needs to be said. Let go of what needs to be released. Forgive where you need to forgive. Quiet the arguments you kept replaying. Put down the pressure to fix everything tonight. You were not created to solve your whole life before bed. You were created to surrender what you cannot carry and enter rest clean. That matters. Because many people are not only sleeping beside clutter, they are sleeping inside mental clutter too. They lie down physically, but inside they are still running, still planning, still defending, still worrying, still reaching. No wonder peace feels far away. No wonder sleep becomes shallow. If you want deeper rest, create a softer landing for your inner life. Make the room say rest. Make your habits say rest. Make your final moments before sleep say peace instead of panic. If this is speaking to you, do not wait for the perfect day to begin. Start tonight, even if it is simple, even if it feels small. Small changes, done with care, can open big doors over time. And there is something else many people need to hear. Honoring your resting place is not superstition. It is not ritual without meaning. It is a form of wisdom, discipline, and spiritual attention. People prepare offices, cars, schedules, meetings, and public appearances with great care, but then treat the place of restoration like an afterthought. That is upside down. The place where you recover should not receive less care than the places where you perform. The room where your strength returns should not be the most neglected room in your inner world. Your peace deserves preparation. Your rest deserves protection. Your mind deserves a quiet landing place. Your spirit deserves a clean atmosphere. And when you start treating it that way, something shifts inside you. You begin to feel more intentional, more awake, more aware. You begin to sense that the small details of life are not beneath attention. They are often the very places where healing either begins or gets delayed. Do not underestimate what you do every evening. The evening is a doorway. The night is a handoff. The way you enter it matters. The things you carry into it matter. The condition of the space matters. And when those things come into alignment, many people start noticing what they thought was gone forever. Lighter sleep, calmer mornings, better focus, softer thoughts, deeper peace. Not because life has no battles, but because the place of rest is no longer agreeing with the battle. We live in a loud age, an overfed age, an overstimulated age. People consume all day and then wonder why silence feels difficult. They absorb tension all afternoon and then wonder why the night feels restless. They keep every connection open and then wonder why their soul feels crowded. But peace does not usually return through more noise. It returns through separation, through order, through limits, through the courage to say, not everything gets access to me all the time. And that is one of the strongest changes you can make. Set boundaries around your rest. Not only physical boundaries, but emotional ones, mental ones, digital ones, spiritual ones. Do not let every voice follow you into bed. Do not let every demand lie down beside you. Do not let every fear sleep at your shoulder. The world will always try to climb into your room if you never close the door. That is why intentional people guard their evenings. They know tomorrow is affected by how tonight is handled. They know exhaustion is not always solved by more hours in bed. Sometimes it is solved by creating a cleaner place to receive those hours. If this message feels direct, that is because some truths need to be direct. Some people have waited long enough. Some people have prayed long enough while overlooking what should have changed months ago. And maybe this is the moment they finally stop ignoring the simple thing that has been quietly working against them. Picture what could change if your room became a place of peace again. Not perfect, not dramatic, just clean, clear, calm, and protected. Picture going to sleep without the whole world beside your face. Picture waking up without the same heaviness sitting on your chest. Picture your mind feeling less crowded, your mornings less rushed inside, your thoughts less tangled, your heart less sharp. That kind of change does not begin with hype. It begins with attention, with honesty, with the willingness to say, I have been careless here, and I do not want to be careless anymore. That is not shame. That is awakening. That is wisdom arriving. That is a person finally seeing that the sacred is often hidden inside the simple. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you realize your habits shape your atmosphere, you stop moving through your nights blindly. You become deliberate. You become awake. You begin choosing peace before you need rescue from panic. You begin protecting rest before exhaustion teaches you how valuable it always was. And that is powerful, because a guarded night can strengthen a whole life. A peaceful room can support a tired heart. A clear bed can become the beginning of a clear mind. Keep listening, because this is where change becomes real. Not when you admire the message, but when you go home and do something with it. So when this ends, do not just say, that was powerful, and move on. Do something. Walk into your room with fresh eyes. Look at what has become normal. Look at what sits on your bed. Look at what stays near your pillow. Look at what follows you into the night every single evening. Then clear what needs clearing. Remove what needs removing. Create the kind of atmosphere that agrees with peace instead of fighting it. And as you do, believe that small obedience matters. Believe that hidden discipline matters. Believe that private because many turning points begin quietly. Many breakthroughs begin with one honest decision in one quiet room on one ordinary night. This could be that night for someone listening. This could be the night the heaviness starts lifting. The night the room feels different. The night the mind finally exhales. The night a habit breaks and peace begins to return in ways you almost forgot were possible. And if this stirred something in you, hold on to it. Do not let the simplicity of it make you dismiss it. Simple does not mean weak. Quiet does not mean unimportant. Ordinary does not mean powerless. Sometimes the strongest shift begins where nobody is watching, in the place where you lay your head, in the moment you decide that your rest will no longer be treated like common ground. And if you needed this message today, take it seriously. Tonight is a good night to begin.